This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Another hour of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night right on into your Friday morning. We'll be recapping the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft, as well as some live NBA playoff updates. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who trailed by 26 at halftime in Memphis, have tied it up with 7.5 minutes to go from the free throw line. Oklahoma City has made this a 99-99 game. And I just took them live, laying 2.5. Frankly, I'm surprised they're only laying 2.5. I mean, the Thunder, we talked about this earlier in the show. When they were down 21, they were catching 10.5. And that was because John Morant went down, took a nasty fall in the second quarter, and was ruled out, I believe, officially with a hip contusion. So John Morant has not played in the second half. The Grizzlies, again, at halftime were up by 26. When that number was 21 that Oklahoma City was trailing by, they were catching 10.5, and they were plus 450 on the money line. Well, here they are down to 101.99, 7:24 to play. And I think the Thunder are going to win this game. I think they're going to cover 2.5 as the new live number. I wish I got in plus 10.5. But I'll lay 2.5 with this OKC team. 7 minutes to go. They're on a 12-4 run, even with the Grizzlies getting 2 back at the line. I think Oklahoma City's in control. I think they are right where they want to be after that disastrous first half. I mean, best defensive team in basketball. They allowed 77 in the first half. But now no more Morant for the Grizz. And the Thunder have stormed back in this one at Memphis. So we added OKC minus 2.5 to the portfolio. The Clippers up 20 as the fourth quarter gets underway. Jokic already has a triple-double, but doesn't mean much with his team down 90-70. How about that? Clippers lead him by 20 with a quarter left. Jokic 17, 11, and 11. Jamal Murray's got 21. No one else has done much of anything. Aaron Gordon has 13, and then no one else has more than 7 for the Nuggets. For the Clippers, 5 guys are already in double figures. Powell and Harden each have 20. Kawhi has cooled off a bit from that incredible performance he had in Game 2 in Denver, but he's still got 14 points and 9 boards en route to a double-double. Zubats has 13 and 5, and Nick Batum off the bench has 12 and 5. So the Clippers in control. First playoff game in Intuit Dome history down there in Inglewood. And LA looking to go up 2-1 with another home game before this series heads back to Denver for Game 5. My Knicks got the win at Detroit. We covered, laying a point with them. 118-116. Boy, was it scary. They led by 13 at the half. And the Pistons completely controlled the second half. The Knicks are yet to really dominate this Detroit team. They are yet to go wire to wire. They had the first half in this one. They had the fourth quarter in Game 1, that 21-0 run. But the Knicks are yet to really assert themselves against the Pistons. Not a great matchup for them. Frankly, they're fortunate to be up 2-1 in this series now. Karl Anthony Towns didn't bet it, but we talked about it. He was going to have a big one after he laid an egg. Had a 10-point performance Game 2. Cashed in that over 21.5 point prop. Had 31 points, 8 boards, 4 threes in this one. At least 3 of them came in the first quarter. He had 13 in the first quarter. Jalen Brunson added 30, penetrated the paint, got to the line. I mean, the Knicks as a team did. Brunson 11 of 13 from the line. The Knicks as a squad 26 of 29. Fantastic from the charity stripe. Anunoby added 22. Bridges finally added 20. He's been a bust. He's been a disaster of a trade. But he added 20 points. The Knicks, one thing that scares me about this team, that bench, not adding a lot of production. Deuce McBride, he's kind of been MIA, 3 points. Cam Payne had a great Game 1, 4 points. Mitch Robinson, not doing much scoring-wise. Josh Hart, by the way, the only starter not in double figures, had 6 points. Did everything else and did it at a high level. 9 assists, 11 boards, so he goes over on those props. For Detroit, Cunningham and Hardaway. How about the former Knick, Tim Hardaway Jr., was 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. Both of those guys led the Pistons with 24. Jalen Duren added 16 and 8. Schroeder off the bench, 18. Beasley off the bench, 12. Tobias Harris, they got nothing out of him. 5 points, 6 boards. Way under his marks in this one. As the Knicks steal one in Detroit, 118-116, and cover whether you got them laying 1, like I did, like our terrific producer Jared Moore did, or if you took them laying 1.5. Then they covered for you on the hook. Folks, if you're ready to get into the action, our friends over at First Bet have got you covered. Sign up now. You can access exclusive promotions, plus bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every day, right from your phone or computer. Just go to firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com, and use the promo code VEASAN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. Night one of the NFL draft in the books. And, the story here, Shedeur Sanders not taken. His teammate, Travis Hunter, traded for. Outside of that, it was for the most part business as usual. Not the most exciting draft, not last year's run on quarterbacks with 6 of them taken in the first round. The run was on players in the trenches, right? Half of the selections playing on one side of the line or the other. As our producer Jared Moore pointed out, D-line and edge got over 8.5. O-lineman got over 6.5. So half of the night one selections taken in the trenches. Just 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. Both of those props go under 2.5. 3 receivers, so that went over 2.5. 2 tight ends taken. Tyler Warren, how about not being the first tight end taken? To me, that's one of the bigger storylines, one of the bigger surprises. That's more surprising to me than the Travis Hunter trade. That doesn't shock me. Jacksonville going in for Hunter. By the way, can we talk about that receiver room? And I know Travis Hunter's not going to be an every down receiver, right? Primarily a cornerback and a damn good one. But how about the packages in which Trevor Lawrence, a former first overall pick, is going to have Brian Thomas Jr., who I think was absurdly underrated last draft cycle. He's going to have Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter out there on some significant key downs. That's going to be scary. I mean, this Jacksonville team, look, I think that they're still a little bit of a ways away from being a well-rounded, competent football squad, but I certainly would be salivating over the thought of a Liam Cohen offense having Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., and Travis Hunter. That sounds good to me. Got some versatility in the backfield, too, at running back. If they can block, they can be dangerous. Defensively, I don't know how much they're going to have. Hunter is obviously going to help them a lot defensively. But will they be able to consistently generate pressure up front? We'll see. We're not going to sit here and break down the Jacksonville Jaguars' entire 2025 outlook just yet. But they certainly got better on both sides of the ball by making that trade. And honestly, I don't want to hear from people, oh, it's a terrible trade. They gave up too much. They went and they got their guy. They saw a game changer. They saw a guy who I think when you look at this draft, there's 3 sure things, and he's one of them. Hunter, Abdul Carter, Tyler Warren. To me, the 3 sure things in this draft. And they saw a sure thing on the board, and they made it happen. I love it. I love the guts that move took. And, the Twitter fingers out there saying, oh, their GM should be fired, and everyone should be fired, and blow it all up. They wanted Hunter. They got their guy. I like that pick a lot. I also don't hate the Abdul Carter pick for the Giants. I'm very torn on my Giants because I hate the trade back in for Dart. I think, you could have stayed where you were with the 34th overall pick and gotten a guy, if you needed to go quarterback, a guy who I think is better than Dart in Shedeur Sanders, although I didn't need either one of them. I'm looking more forward to that 2026 QB class. But if the Giants were insistent on going quarterback, I hate that they traded back in to get Dart. I love the Abdul Carter pick. Now, this Giants team is still a ways away and probably a new coach and a new GM away from winning. But think about historically how the Giants have won all 4 of their Super Bowls. Think about those defenses, those front sevens. Whether it was LT and Banks and Carson, or whether it was Strahan and Osiu Minora and Tuck and Kiwanuka. I mean, Remember that, what was it called? The NASCAR package where the Giants had 4 DNs out there? Where they literally did not have a defensive tackle out there. They would slide, I believe it was Tuck to the inside, and Kiwanuka and Dave Tollefson even rotated in, and you had Strahan and Newman York. I mean, that's how they won games. Pressuring quarterbacks. Now you've got one of the best D tackles in the league in Dexter Lawrence, and 3 edge rushers with a lot of upside in Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and let's not give up on Kayvon Thibodeau just yet. And it looks like they're not giving up on him just yet because they did, immediately after selecting Carter, exercise Thibodeau's 5th-year option. Which, by the way, from a morale perspective, I love that move. They wasted no time in letting Kayvon Thibodeau know, hey, we drafted Abdul Carter, but we're exercising your 5th year and holding on to you because we think that you are just as integral a part of our future as Abdul Carter. That move I like. The quarterback stuff, I think Jackson Dart, I said it earlier, I'll reiterate. Matt Corral, last Ole Miss QB to get drafted, he's in the UFL, the Unwatchable Football League. I think Jackson Dart is closer to a Matt Corral than he is to the last Ole Miss quarterback who played for the Giants, in Eli Manning. I don't like that pick at all. Giants might be drafting quarterbacks again in 2026 with a new GM and a new head coach who want to come in and get their guy. Because something tells me when the new regime takes over in New York, I don't think Jackson Dart is going to be their guy. Folks, I'm excited. Up next, we're going to look at some early day 2 odds and what day 1 did for the books, if the public was on the right side or the wrong side more often than not. Johnny Avello joins us from DraftKings. Don't go anywhere. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night, right on into your Friday morning as we start to prepare now for day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Round 1, night 1 in the books. Who better to break it all down with over on the Progressive Guest Line than our friend, the sportsbook director over at DraftKings, Johnny Avello, as we welcome him into the program. Johnny, how are you? How big of a success was night 1 for you and your friends over at DK?
Hey, Joe. Not bad. The first 4 picks pretty much went as we thought they would go, at least pick-wise. We had an idea that the Browns were Jags were gonna trade up to 2, and then Browns would be 5. So the pick for the Jags stayed the same, but the Browns they're the ones that kind of threw a wrench into this thing with Mason Graham. We didn't think that's where they were going. Genty going 6 was good. They bet that he would go either in 5th pick exactly or wouldn't be in the mix at all. So that turned out pretty good for us. The bettors did have McMillan squared at 8 going to Carolina. That was a good one. That was all today's stuff too. And then they did bet Dart as the first quarterback, but under 24.5, and they just missed on that one, didn't they?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, obviously with the Saints there at 9 and the Steelers at 21, Dart waiting to go until 25, probably huge for you guys. The McMillan pick surprised me. That was a lot of late steam for him to go Carolina, because I thought by all accounts that the Panthers were going edge there. But I'm curious on Genty, because we've seen that line move a ton. The Raiders were, minus 50 cents about a week ago. Then the Jaguars came in as the odds-on favorite. And then the Bears, correct me if I'm wrong with this number, were they laying 220 morning of for Genty to be a Bear? I mean, the Bears had some significant juice that you would have had to lay for Genty to go to Chicago. So how did that all kind of fluctuate over really the past 5 to 7 days?
Well, most of this was taking place over the last 3 days too, actually.
Yeah.
Genty, we thought Genty was going to go to the Jags. There was some talk that he could go to the Patriots, but if the Patriots were a longer shot, I thought the Jags were pretty solid on him. And then of course the Raiders want him. They were the initial taker of him. But then the Bears got in the mix today where, the rumor out there was that the Bears were going to trade up to 5 with the Jags and take him in that spot. And then we took a lot of money on him at that point. But then there was some money on him not being in the top 6.5. And so when he went 6, that did help us out some. I mean, it was a crazy draft. I mean, there were guys being picked in spots that I didn't think they would be picked in, or some guys were better than them, like Loveland. I didn't expect Loveland to go before Warren, So there were some strange picks in the draft, and some of them, some teams did pretty well, some didn't. The Giants taking Dart is kind of a really strange pick. I know Dart can sit on the bench and watch, and maybe Sanders couldn't sit on the bench and watch. But when you size up those two quarterbacks, Sanders is head and shoulders above this guy.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, Johnny, I grew up in New York. I'm a Giants fan. I hate the pick. I said Jackson Dart might, be following his predecessor, Matt Corral, over to the UFL, because I don't think Jackson Dart is an NFL quarterback, especially a first-round pick. I hated that, and you guys had him odds on. You nailed that. What was it, minus $1.35 at close for Dart to be a Giant?
Yeah. And how about we nailed the 24.5 spot too? So yeah, we were right on that one. And what makes it worse for the Giants is that they traded up to get him. They probably didn't even have to do that. They probably could have got him tomorrow night, or they could have made a trade late in and not given up as much as they did. So I just think the Giants panicked and cut your best deal, and if you get him, you get him. If you don't, you don't. And they did not cut their best deal.
Yep. Last time they panicked and they reached for a quarterback, it was Daniel Jones. It was a disaster. I could see this being just as disastrous for the New York Football Giants. I want to talk briefly about those top 3 picks because you guys nailed it. Obviously you had to lay a ton for Ward at 1, Hunter at 2, Carter at 3, and that was the sensible way of protecting yourselves there because it seemed like such a foregone conclusion. Did you get a lot of people laying the juice there, or did the prices make the public stay away so you kind of protected yourself?
Well, if you go back about 4 months ago, we put up Sanders as the number 1 pick, and here's Sanders nowhere to be found as a number 1 pick anywhere. So that was our number 1 pick. But once we solidified that Ward was the number 1 pick, there was some money that came in when he was a much lower price. But those 3 picks were, pretty solid. Now, Carter for the Giants, there was some talk that the Giants might take Sanders in that 3rd spot. So we had some volatility there on the prices and the money coming in. But today there was a lot of people betting 50s and 100s on different guys to be in the top 3 or 4 spots, and none of that happened. So that was also good for us on today's wagering.
Nice little donation right there to DK. I mean, look, I'll admit, I made a little donation. I put a little $20 play on Shador to go 9th overall, thinking the Saints might take him there. And 20-1, it was like, why not put a little flyer on it, Let's talk tight ends. Tyler Warren, you must have cleaned up, right? Whether it was under 9.5 to go top 10, first tight end selected, Jets to take. Did Tyler Warren, was that a cleanup for you guys?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That worked out good. Cleanup? No. I mean, there was some bettors that did have that correct with Loveland going before Warren, but for the most part, that was a winner for us for the most part. Now we also allowed parlays too, so that's why I couldn't even tell you where we were at for the night until just maybe a half hour ago because we had still parlays calculating.
Interesting. When do you think we're going to start to see some Rookie of the Year markets potentially, and how do you see that shaking out? Do you think Cam Ward is going to be a massive favorite there, or are there some other names to keep an eye out for? It's tough because not a lot of skill players taken. I mean, this was a night dominated by the trenches, but how do you see that Rookie of the Year market? When do you see it starting to take place?
That Rookie of the Year market's already up. So if you want to go to our site, we have Offensive Rookie of the Year. We have Defensive Rookie of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Cam Ward. He's a 2-1 favorite, and him and Genti, followed by Travis Hunter, McMillan. You can see the whole list on there. And then Defensive Rookie of the Year is Carter, followed by Carter, overwhelming favorite at plus 225, followed by Jalen Walker at plus 650, Hunter plus 850. And and Williams at plus 850. So we have those markets up. Plus we have markets up on MVP. We got markets up on what all these rookies are going to do. Will Cam Ward have 2,750 yards passing? Will he have 3,000 yards passing? Will Travis Hunter have receiving yards over 700? These guys put it all up tonight, knowing that that's what everybody would be asking for.
I love it. You guys wasted absolutely no time on that. How about Shedeur Sanders? Already seeing some movement. You guys, after he went undrafted in the first round, he opened up minus $5 to Cleveland. Now it's $4. The Raiders coming down a bit in price, plus $5.50. Saints 7-1. With Shedeur money, obviously a lot of that is still outstanding if people bet on, specifically what team he'll go to. What are you guys rooting for? Anything in particular with Shedeur that would help you guys out?
Well, the Giants are not in this mix now, so that certainly helps us out.
Yeah.
I think most of it's going to depend on this new proposition that we put up. So, are they going to go take a Raiders at plus 550? They're going to take the Saints at plus $7. I think that's where he's going to land. It's one of those three: Browns, Raiders, or Saints. So, we'll find out tomorrow anybody's going to trade up early to try to get him, or they're just going to wait for their position and grab him.
Johnny, last thing I want to touch on with you, shifting gears slightly to the NBA playoffs, because I'm in love with this LA Clippers team as they go up 2-1 over the Nuggets. Have you started to see an influx of Clippers futures money to win the West, maybe to win the title? Because they're starting to, more so than the Warriors or Lakers, look like they could be the only threat to OKC in the West.
Yeah, we were seeing some Clipper money back a ways. So now I would think that now, being up in the series, I would think that we're going to start to see more of it. Right now, the Clippers are still 25-1, so they were a higher price. At one time during the season, they weren't even quite this high. So, so we're starting to see it, but there's still some teams in the West you got to beat. But, Oak City Thunder now that series is now evened up. So, maybe there is a path for some of these other Western teams.
Johnny, absolutely fantastic stuff. Really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Johnny Avello, the sportsbook director over at DraftKings, with us on the Progressive Guest Line as the Clippers go up 2-1 on Denver, recapping the first night in the NFL Draft, and more. More Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night right on into your Friday morning here on VSiN. The first round of the 2025 NFL Draft in the books. Not a whole lot of surprises. A couple in there. Tyler Warren, second tight end, off the board. That one absolutely stunned me. But the top three was business as usual in terms of the order and the pick number. Ward, Hunter, Carter. In terms of the team, a little bit of a surprise there with Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville and not the Cleveland Browns, who were slated to hold that second pick. I wouldn't say it was all that surprising. If you've been following the news, there were reports about a Browns-Jags deal being well in place leading up to that first round, and just that the trigger wasn't going to get pulled until Tennessee had officially selected Cam Ward, because Jacksonville wasn't moving up for anyone aside from Travis Hunter on the off chance that he went number one. But the biggest surprise there, Tyler Warren, a big surprise, and then, of course, Shedeur Sanders still being on the board, not being the second quarterback taken. I mean, look, you just heard from Johnny Avello, does a terrific job, sportsbook director over at DraftKings. Shedeur Sanders, he was the favorite to go number one a few months back. But Shedeur, not even a first-round pick in the 2025 draft. A little Bo Callahan action, sliding down the board. Maybe no one went to his birthday party, as our friend Dan Groeschel tweeted at us. Make sure you tweet at us, at @TheJoeCeraulo. I want to hear your best bets, your hottest takes. Share them with us. We'll share them with the world. And let's take a look at what draft bets are still available right now. We've got Cam Scatterbo, who he'll be drafted by. The Kansas City Chiefs were favorites the morning of the first round, and I don't think anyone ever anticipated Scadaboo would be a first-round pick. I feel like the reason the Chiefs were favorites is because, I don't know, I was going to say maybe pick 32. I don't think anyone really thought Scadaboo would go 32nd, right? I mean, this is a guy who's probably projecting more as a late second to third round pick than anything. Frankly, it wouldn't shock me if he went Saturday. If he slid into the fourth, I wouldn't be stunned at all. So this is really a crapshoot, and that's why the odds reflected as such. New England 6-1 is the favorite. Kansas City 7-1 is your second shot, followed by the Niners at 8-1, Denver at 9-1, Arizona at 10-1. So, I mean, hey, look, with Scadaboo, your guess is truly as good as mine as to where he goes. Shador is minus $4 to go to the Cleveland Browns. Plus 550 for the Raiders, 7-1 Saints, 10-1 Jets. Rams and Steelers are there at 14 and 16-1, but I'm stopping after the Jets because you look at the second round. 5 of the top 10 picks in Friday's second round belong to those 4 teams. Cleveland's got 2, then the Raiders, Saints, and Jets are in the mix. Shador is probably going to go to Cleveland. I mean, there's a reason that they're a $4 favorite, right? I really struggle to imagine a world in which the Browns don't take Shador at either 33 or 36. And then I think Jalen Milroe. Now, I would love Milroe odds because I think Jalen Milroe is going to go in the top 10 of the second round as well. I'm not in on Tyler Shugg. I don't like this kid. He's very Brandon Whedon-esque. Nothing against him personally. I mean, his pro day, I saw one of the worst throws I've ever seen in a pro day in my life. So I don't like him. I like Shador and Milroe to both be selected at the latest 42 overall. I think they'll both be top 10 picks in Friday's second round. Let's see what else is up over at DraftKings if we have anything else. We still have Mr. Irrelevant, so that's about it for now. Scadaboo, Sanders, Mr. Irrelevant. Now we do have some props up for rookies, for guys who have already been selected, like Cam Ward. We've got some odds there. Ward to throw for 3,000 or more yards, minus 150. 3,250 or more, even odds. Those are intriguing. You can take 2,750 plus at, laying $5. That would be a ridiculous bet. But 3,000 or more, minus 150, and then you can climb the ladder every 250 yards. Cam Ward on touchdowns, you can go 15 plus, minus 230, 20 plus at even odds. Travis Hunter, how about this? 3 receivers taken in the first round. None of them have receiving props yet. Travis Hunter does, though. 700 plus receiving yards with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, plus $1.25. 800 if you want to keep climbing the ladder, plus 275. 900 is 5-1. Travis Hunter, 1,000 receiving yards, plus 750. I don't know. I feel like Travis Hunter, there's such an unknown here, right? And just in terms of flat out snap percentage. Usually a guy gets drafted and he's going to be wide receiver 1. He's going to be wide receiver 2. With Travis Hunter, when he's out there, he's going to be wide receiver 2 to Brian Thomas Jr. But how often is he going to be out there is such an unknown. I don't know if I would, even though 700 at plus money is intriguing, I could see Travis Hunter having like 550 receiving yards because he's going to be there for select and special downs. Rushing yards intrigues me. Although, wow, you're paying a pretty steep price here for Ashton Jeanty year 1. For your standard VIG, for minus 110, you got to climb the ladder all the way up, which starts at 700 plus, minus 1,000. You got to go to to 1,100 plus for minus 110. Not even 1,000. Jeanty to go 1,000 yards, minus 175. I don't know. I've got questions with the Raiders, with that O-line. I don't know if I can get there on Jeanty having to lay that much. For touchdowns, 7 plus seems to be the magic number. Minus 125. I'd probably be more inclined to go 7 plus touchdowns for Jeanty at minus 25 cents than 1,100 yards at minus 10 cents. Even 10 plus touchdowns at 3-1. This is not just the guy who he is shifty, he is agile, but he can also lower his shoulder. He's pretty versatile. 10-1 I don't hate on Jeanty or rather 10 plus touchdowns at 3-1. I don't hate on Genty. So we've got props up for Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, who will be primarily a D-back, and Ashton Genty thus far. Scadaboo and Sanders in terms of where they'll get selected. And then, you got your Mr. Irrelevant. What position will Mr. Irrelevant be? I don't understand anyone. It's throwing a dart at the board. Folks, do you want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, here at VSiN, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings, giving you insight into where the sharp action's landing. Circa, of course, known for taking big bets from the pros, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kinds of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the handle on every game across every sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. And get VSiN's summer special right now for just $59, all the way through August 1st at vsin.com/subscribe. Busy night one in the NFL draft, busy night in the NBA playoffs. How about us cashing out? Oklahoma City trailed the Memphis Grizzlies by 26 at halftime. When they were down 21 and it was announced that Ja Morant, who took a nasty fall in the second quarter, when it was announced that he would not return due to a hip injury, they were down 21. They were only plus 10.5 live. Pointed that out, as well as the fact that on the money line they were plus 475, the OKC Thunder. Didn't get in on either, but down the stretch when they pulled within 3, laid 5 cents, got a minus 2.5. They win by 6. We cash out. Oklahoma City in a game that they were down 26 at halftime. We get them live, laying 2.5 points. How about that? That series is over. I mean, now that they're up 3-0, just mercy rule it, right? You got the 51-point win game 1. You got the 26-point comeback down at the half by 26, game 3. Just don't even play game 4. That should have been the way Memphis' season ended right there. And it's sad, right? Morant goes down with 3:15 to go in the first half. They're up 27. And it's sad to see him go down like that. But my goodness, you couldn't hold a 26-point halftime lead without Ja Morant? That's terrible. It's not like it's Ja Morant and chopped liver. Down the stretch, Desmond Bane was arguably their best player. Jaren Jackson Jr., pivotal to that team's success. You couldn't hold a 26-point lead for 24 minutes without Ja Morant? That's awful. But we capitalized on it. We profited off of it. Thunder, minus 2.5 live, gets home 114-108. Your final there. Clippers Nuggets has gone final as well. Your score from the Intuit Dome, 117-83. I would make a reference to last night's moron segment, but I didn't exactly have my best day on the diamond, so I'm going to spare our terrific producer Jared Moore for floating around the idea of Nuggets money line. I did say, though, better chance the Clippers win by double digits than Denver money line. I did say, and this was kind of hyperbole on my end. I wasn't serious about it. I said Clippers will win by 20 before they lose outright. They won by 34. My goodness, the Clippers steamrolling the Nuggets. They're going to win that series. Make no mistake about it. More NFL draft up next. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Thursday night right on into your Friday morning here on the program. Night 1, round 1 of the NFL draft in the books. Who better to break it down with and look ahead to Friday's rounds 2 and 3 action with than our friend from over at the Sporting News, Jarrett Bailey, joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Jarrett, how are you, my friend? Let's start with your Pittsburgh Steelers. How are you feeling about Pittsburgh's pick? Did you see that one coming? Are you stunned? What was your reaction to the 21st overall pick?
Yeah, I feel good about it as a fan. I think going into it, a lot of everybody was expecting, it might be Shadur Sanders, it might be Jackson Dart. In hindsight, a lot of that might have just been a smoke screen of sorts put out by the Steelers to kind of distract from potentially getting Derek Harmon, who Mike Tomlin spoke very adamantly about shortly after and talking to the media. So, there's throughout, Steelers, fans and whatnot, the talk has been, they're trying to build like the Eagles, where they want to have multiple guys up front who can be disruptors both in the run and pass game. They have that right now with Cam Hayward. Keanu Benton has taken consistent steps forward in his first 2 seasons, and now they add Derek Harmon on the interior to put in the middle of Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt and Nick Herbig. So it's clear that they have a thought in mind about getting consistent pressure and being able to stop the run, which, against Baltimore in the playoffs was their Achilles heel, and Baltimore ran all over them. So you get a guy like Derek Harmon, who is as versatile as any defensive lineman in this class, who played all over the line last year. And I think Pittsburgh certainly values that versatility. I think that's going to help them shore up a lot of those issues that showed up in the playoffs. And hopefully, they can, end this drought of, not winning a playoff game for so long. But I feel good about the pick. I said going in, if they take a defensive tackle, Harmon would be the one that I would like to see them take. And they did just that. So can't complain too much from the fan side of things.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be Jackson Dart going to Pittsburgh at 21 because I did not want him anywhere near my Giants. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, you gotta be fuming.
I came on air. The show started right after that pick was announced. And there were quite a few 4-letter words that I wanted to open the show with, but I value my job security too much, if I even have any job security, if the bosses are watching. But Jackson Dart to the Giants. He goes over pick number 24.5 because he came in at the 25th pick. Second QB selected as under 2.5 quarterbacks taken. Cashes. That was a plus money play right there. What are your thoughts on Dart to the Giants? To me, this is like reaching for Daniel Jones all over again.
Yeah, I feel like this is perhaps going to be the last first-round pick that Brian Daboll and Joe Shen take as a unit. I don't get it, man. I'm not somebody who was on the Dart train. I felt if they're going to trade up for a quarterback back into the first round, it made more sense to take Shedeur Sanders. I think he's the better prospect and the better quarterback. So I think that would have made more sense than Dart. And the immediate comps that people started making on the networks are like, maybe Brian Daboll sees some Josh Allen in him. And with Dart, the pluses are that he does have a big arm. It's just that the other things in terms of intangibles and making plays from within structure haven't necessarily been there. So I don't know. This one wasn't one that made sense to me. For your sake, as a friend, I hope it works out. But they also do have the built-in advantage of not having to play him right away. They signed Russell Wilson, they signed Jameis Winston as well, so they don't have to play Jackson Dart right off the bat. They've got a couple veterans in front of him where they can just kind of let him sit and have a maybe a redshirt year even just to kind of get ready for whatever the future holds.
Yeah, personally, I'm hoping the Giants go 0-17 at this point, and Daboll and Shane get axed, and whatever the new regime is, that they can get their guy to play quarterback, because Jackson Dart, I don't think is going to be the new regime's guy. Russ Wilson certainly won't. Jameis Winston certainly won't. To me, obviously Daboll and Shane are in win now mode. They're not trying to set the new regime up for success, but for the organization, there were so many other positions, right? Defensive backfield, offensive line that they need to shore up for the Giants to be successful in years to come. And, I hated that pick. All right, let's talk other quarterbacks, though, because I just said on the show, I think in the first 10 picks of Friday's second round, 2 are going to be quarterbacks, Shedeur and Milroe. You have some bets on Milroe? What do you like?
So I'm glad that I didn't find anything in terms of him going in the first round, but I did take him to go under 38.5. And I think Cleveland's still a team to watch when it comes to this. I'm surprised Shedeur Sanders fell out of the first round. So, if you're the Browns and you really like Shedeur, then maybe you take him. But I think that Jalen Milroe, that's the guy that I've kind of had circled for the Browns, considering their current offensive coordinator Tommy Rees has connective tissue with Milroe in their Alabama days together. So all of that makes sense and adds up for Milroe to go to Cleveland, and that would come in under 38.5. So that's something I have my eyes on. as well as the Browns to draft Jalen Milroe, which is plus 275. So keep an eye on Jalen Milroe in Cleveland tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I do think you're going to get there on under 38.5. Although, wait, hold on. Where, actually, before, I don't want to misspeak. Where do the Saints pick?
Oh, where do the Saints pick? That's a good shout.
I think the Saints who pick at, 40. Well, maybe they move up. Maybe they.
I was gonna say maybe they make some sort of move.
Yeah, I could see them moving up because so the way I saw it, here are the top 10 picks, right? Cleveland, then Houston and Tennessee. Cleveland again at 36. Then the Raiders potentially at 37. Pats 38, Bears 39, Saints 40, Bears again, Jets 42. So there are 5 picks out of the top 10 on Friday, and 4 teams, because Cleveland picks twice, that I think go quarterback or could go quarterback. And that's Cleveland, Raiders, Saints, Jets. I think the Saints want Milroe.
I think in terms of Shador, pay attention to the Raiders because there was a lot of talk about them potentially taking him in the top 10. So the fact that they could maybe get him in the second round, that would be very enticing if I'm the Raiders because, yeah, I know that they just signed Geno to an extension, but it's one of those things where, you know, after the first, I think 2 years, I mean, it becomes very easy to get out of. So,
right. You don't think the Browns, they'll go up at pick 33 right off the bat and take him?
That's certainly possible as well. If he gets past Cleveland, though, I think that we could see like a Jordan Love situation. Obviously, you know, 2 different quarterbacks in terms of Rodgers and Geno Smith, but a similar situation where they don't have any sort of pressure to play Shador right away. They have him in a good situation where he can sit behind Geno Smith. And when the time comes, you know, after sitting for a year or 2, they can give him the reins and go from there. And if you can do that with a second round pick, I think that you feel pretty good about that. I don't know. I'm still sitting on Milroe just because the Tommy Reese connection, and maybe that's, you know, me just reaching because right. I really want to look smart with this bet. But I certainly think that it's possible that the Browns kick off night 2 and take a quarterback, but it isn't Shador. So, and by the way, what a media crap storm that'll be, especially with, we're sitting there looking at Mel's best and he's just like smoke coming out of the poor man's ears because he doesn't know why Shador Sanders hasn't been taken yet. Poor guy.
I mean, I really do think that this is a little ridiculous. You know, I think that Shador Sanders, is he a top 5 pick? No, but I think he was the second best quarterback in this class.
I agree.
I think he's the only guy aside from Cam Ward who could be a competent starter. You know, and that's not a world of praise. It's just that the rest of the class, I think, is garbage. But I'm shocked he's fallen into day 2. Jarrett, what was your biggest surprise? Final 90 seconds or so here. Was it Travis Hunter, the trade with Jacksonville? Tyler Warren not being the first tight end taken? Something else? What was your biggest night 1 surprise?
The Atlanta Falcons giving up a 2026 first round pick to move back into the first round and take James Pierce. Good for the Rams to get an additional first round pick next year. And on top of that, they also get obviously the Falcons second round pick and a 7th round pick in 2025. They had to send a 3rd round pick to Atlanta, but I mean, getting a first round pick just to move back so the Falcons could take James Pierce, I feel like Atlanta vastly overpaid in that situation. Now, if James Pierce turns out to be, an all-pro, somebody will clip this and it'll, make its rounds on social media, and that's okay. But I certainly think that was a bit of an overpay. So that was one of the biggest shockers to me, is just how much Atlanta gave up to move up and take an edge rusher. They took the Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker earlier on, so they certainly have a vision in mind, which is good. But that was very surprising to me.
Yeah, maybe Raheem Morris is telling us that if this season doesn't work out and the Falcons aren't picking around 26 next year, maybe he's not too worried about his future in Atlanta. Right. Maybe that's what they're telling us, this regime, with that pick. Jared, thanks so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy. Have a good one.
Jarrett Bailey, our friend from the Sporting News. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. It's a new hour of Cashing Out, the special draft edition with me, Joe Ceraulo, up next.